Culp's Hill, I reorganized a bit to switch out damaged infantry units for fresh ones, and shift the artillery around so that I have much more of it earlier on. So this is one where it shows you only get 15, but you actually get, you can get 22, and then you get the first 9 units of your center corps. But you do still need to keep a 3rd and 4th division to have those come in. The setup of the other corps is a little annoying. I guess while I'm on this one, just bringing some militia units over to sit in the fortifications. They're going to bait charges, and then just setting up other supporting units to help out anything that comes in. I'm going to be moving all of my artillery down to be able to deal damage from this side. And so if you've done enough damage on day 1, the defenses here are weakened enough that you can actually sneak in the rear. So that's what I'm going to be setting up to do. And if you can get through there and get the vision point on top of Cemetery Hill, then you can basically see everything. We aren't going to be able to deal a ton of damage, but we are going to get the last of the artillery. We're only facing 1 unit here, which I think is due to our efforts on day 1 and 2. So that simplifies things a lot. Otherwise, you'd take a lot more artillery fire when you're coming in with the infantry units, because you are going to get spotted doing that. But most of the roaming units are busy charging up here at the moment, so they aren't going to be in position to come back down and do anything to my infantry. So just setting up a crossfire here anytime units come up, and then we'll back off again. And I'm targeting the unit at the vision point, because once that's gone, then I can basically start controlling the area. So you do have to wait a little bit before bringing units over, because there are reinforcements that come off the bottom of the map. But by the time you get everything in position, usually you're safe to go across. Now, I probably should have sent some normal skirmishers across before I sent the snipers, but I'm pretty confident there's nothing there, so I'm just sending them early. I think you can only get away with that if there's only like 1 or 2 artillery units. If there's more than that, then they're going to be clustered a little bit north of this area, and you have pretty poor vision. So you're probably going to take losses if you do that. But with only the 1 unit there, then I can afford to do it. As you can see, they're visible here, but then they, for whatever reason, like that unit right there, just never really does anything. It just sort of sits there. I'm not sure if it's some sort of AI priority that it needs to have units, thinks it needs to have units there, or why those units never move. But you can basically just sit there and shoot them for most of the battle. Except for the very end, where within the last like 10-15 minutes, then the AI gets aggressive. Don't know why, but it usually tends to. So I'm taking a little bit of artillery fire, but the unit's somewhere up on Cemetery Hill, so won't take too much damage. And my goal is to get all the way across the bottom and knock out those 2 small units behind the stone wall, and then from there we'll roll up the entire line. This would be another case where it'd be pretty easy to outright win the battle if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm just gonna keep grinding them down. So I bring 1 24-pounder unit with me, just sort of in case anything, in case they get overeager and decide to charge, and I have a little bit more firepower back there. But they are usually pretty passive. And then I have, in the north, I have a couple Tredigars, some 24-pounders to deal with those charges, and then the rest of it is just 10-pounders to... They aren't going to do a whole lot, firing into units and fortifications at less than optimal ranges, but it'll start to add up, and it does a lot of training for their firepower. So, bring is break off skirmishers, take fewer losses when driving back the artillery. Getting set up on the left to push those units out, and from there I can bring my general and other units in. Those units are thankfully pretty beat up from day one, so they're not too hard to get. I think I should have moved the units on the left, those two infantry units, a little bit sooner, but it doesn't end up changing a whole lot. Okay, we don't quite get the artillery, but once we get rid of them, then we can pretty much do whatever we want. You gotta be a little careful on the right here, just because your vision is really poor until you get that vision point, and you'll take fire from the woods. But mostly if you stay just outside of rifle range of the woods, units will walk up, get shot, and then they'll run away again. Gotta be a little careful, snipers over there, some skirmishers showed up. I think there's a unit with either JF Browns or with Worth somewhere in here, I think. I think they mostly leave me alone. Get that one unit routing over. Don't really have anything available to clean it up. Maybe if you could fit some cavalry in. You could bring some cavalry instead of some of those 10-pounders if you wanted to, but I'm not sure if that's really worth it. So these units in the open, take decent losses, but we're going to make it out of here with about 2k casualties. Debatable how worth it that really is, but we get far better ratios than that, and it's going to weaken the defenses for later days. Not that I do a whole lot against the infantry, but I'm basically just farming weapons at this point. I would say it probably makes the second phase of Culp a bit easier, because I'll be baiting a lot of charges there, and probably take less damage because those units are more beat up. But yeah, this is about the line I'm going to take. The control point on that victory point is pretty large. I can't get much closer without taking it. I turned off the 24-pounders. They're firing at ranges where they don't do a whole lot, and supply does become a bit of a problem in this battle, so I just figured I'd save a little bit of cash. Moving everything up. Gotta be careful about too much. Like, see, I'm bringing those units back because I don't want to push in more, and sometimes you get charged on your right flank, and if you only have one or two infantry units down there, that can sometimes not be enough, and you can get overrun a bit. So, got some more charges up there, which is real nice. Unless your unit's taking some losses, but those are raw recruits with muskets, so not losing out on much there. Getting some flanking shots for the units that are stuck on their route to get to the fortifications. Maybe if I pushed up in the middle a little bit more, I could start hitting more units. I'm not sure if it'd really be worth it. I think I'd take more losses than I'd really inflict. And the timer's about to run out, so not much more I can really do there. Though that supply wagon's sitting there, and I'm thinking about taking it. I think it, but you can see the flag starting to dim. That means that there's not enough units in the area to control it. So I'd like to get that wagon, but I don't want to use anything that can capture. So I end up sending the general pretty quick, faster than the supply wagon, and he's got enough health. Not a lot. You can take the volley. That's probably close to how much health he has. But get the supply wagon, free 10k. And don't accidentally capture the point while doing it. So, that was the end of the first day. You can see where you could very easily win from there. Going into the second day, it's Culp again. And I've shifted units around a little bit. Mostly, I pulled a bunch of infantry and replaced it with more artillery, and then put in a bunch of the militia units. Mostly, the plan is to just get them experience, and they'll be good enough for the purpose of getting units to charge them and then stopping them in the water and shooting them from there. So on day 3, there's no opportunity to sweep around from behind and do much again. So I've opted for a more artillery-heavy setup. And one thing you want to note is that the order that I have my artillery set up in is such that they do not start as the furthest unit forward in the trees there. All those fortifications are really good. There's just no reason to sit there and shoot it out with other units and similarly good fortifications. So I just leave a skirmisher unit there to minimize the damage and then run away. From there, I'm just going to sort of set up and bring the snipers around, start hitting those units in the flank, make an opening to get behind if I can, and then I'm going to leave several units out in the open to hopefully bait their infantry. So I've got the Tredigars sitting there, and then I've got the militia unit sitting there. I'm going to change my mind on the Tredigars. It's just much better for them to go after the militia. It's just a wonderful open space with multiple rivers there, and I can hit them from both sides from cover. So, got the first victim. And these troops are not particularly great, but they're going to do more than good enough to, win 4-on-1. And just get some free training for these units. So, knock the first unit out with fortifications. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. So, just slowly pushing forward over there. Should probably already have a detached skirmish unit with them to cover them. Okay, finally getting around to that. Baiting another unit out, slowly getting the snipers forward. There's the mass charges, so I'm bringing everything up again. Though what I don't realize, there we go, they're going after those skirmishers. This is not the direction I want them to go. I really want them to go to the right. So that's why I'm swinging that other militia unit around, just because in case they go to the north, I don't really have enough there. And I'm trying to get the snipers in deeper. It's really tough to pull it off. It's really bad sight lines and not a lot of cover. And there's several units sitting back there. I think if you can do even more damage on the first phase of Culp's Hill, and maybe on day 1 to wipe out some of those units that are sitting back there, you have a better chance of getting in deeper. Not sure how good your chances are. Like, unless you get all the way around to the western board edge, your position is just not that good. But we're doing good in the middle. Lots of free damage. Taking a little bit of artillery fire, but again, we're only facing a single unit. Even though I destroyed it in the last phase, and I guess another one shows up. Not really sure where it's coming from, but and that's the point where I should have noticed that there was a problem. I try and get greedy and send the snipers over and trigger a charge, and now I have to run. Basically, this is why I bring skirmishers with me, so I can get into melee and sacrifice them to get my valuable units out of there. Because if I had not done that, I almost certainly would have lost at least one skirmisher unit. The unit of 362 probably would have made it out, almost certainly, but the smaller unit that I had moved around to the left corner to hopefully get some flank shots would have had no chance. So, that was too far. Probably should have scouted a little bit more with the skirmishers first. Maybe if you bring 3-star snipers with extra stealth perks, you could make it in. Or actually, what the benefit there would probably be they'd have the extra spot. And so you could have seen those units a little earlier and hit them from there. But that's fine. The rest of the battle's going pretty well, and we didn't lose too many snipers. And anytime we can trade, 1-star rookies for 3-star veterans, that's a pretty good deal. So I try and get forward again without bringing back up, and I get lucky and it doesn't cost me, but I just got to get out. Well, too badly. Just got to get out of there. The upside of this is by accident it caused a couple of those units to charge south, and that's going to put them into places where I can hit them with the snipers, so they're going to have something to do again. Taking some losses from that artillery, but just not much I can do about it. No way to get vision of it. This would be one of the phases that, unless you just did overwhelming damage earlier in the earlier on like day 1 and nearly wiped out everything on day 1, I don't really see how you would take this position. I guess if you could get infantry in behind, then you could probably just roll it up, but either do it on the first phase of Culp's Hill or win at the round tops or something, like if you're going for a day 2 victory. I don't want to try it here. This is effectively just preparate. It's just farming XP, farming weapons, and preparing for later phases. That's all I'm getting out of this. But that's going pretty well. Pulled a lot of their units out. Inflicted a lot of free casualties. We don't have too much more time left, but so just pulling back, trying to get hidden so I don't get shot by their artillery, and then just letting the snipers get back to work. After I push those 2 units out in the south, maybe I probably should have just set them up in the woods and baited more units out and done that way. But okay, that's the second part of Culp's Hill.